Hey, what's going on, everybody? Parker Farison with Farison Lawn Care. I'm on a customer's lawn right now, and the note says to give them recommendations on what they need to be doing if there's anything I see in the lawn. And this is a perfect example when we're coming out of spring and going into summertime, what the lawn might look like. You can tell right there. I don't know, you see those brown areas right next to the concrete? So here's what happens, right? The sun rises over this house and it gets early morning sun. This tree right here is shading over here, and right in between this concrete, it's kind of starting to get baked back, and you can see this yellowing. They probably haven't watered. They've probably been just like you and kind of me too. They've kind of gotten away with letting springtime be what waters the lawn. You get a lot of early spring rainfall. Early spring rainfall. And the lawns are very lush and green and succulent, and they're just rocking and rolling. And you kind of forget to turn on the sprinklers. See, here's another example of heat stress to the concrete over here. You forget to turn on the sprinklers. So I'm just gonna suggest for her to water twice a week, early mornings. And that should help aid the recovery of the lawn and keep the lawn going throughout summer, because it's gonna get really hot. Really hot. It's like 83 now. We had a couple of days of a heat spell and humidity. It's been really, really hot, but today feels really good. And you can tell over here, there's like it almost looks smoked. It almost looks like a gray haze. And you can tell that's the early morning sun that's getting to it, and it probably gets the sun all day long. And it gets a little bit worse as the concrete kind of sandwiches it. You can see where the lawn looks pretty good while you've got some shade. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that shade helps, but you can tell that there's a little bit of a smoked area next to the driveway. So that's what I'm going to suggest to him. And all right, so I just got done talking to the customer. I was just talking to the customer about the yellow haze in the lawn. And before I go, I wanted to point out something. If you're willing to get down into the lawn, you can see how the blade, I don't know if that's showing up or not, is kind of curled. It's kind of curled in, and that's called desiccation. And that's just showing that the lawn does not have adequate water. And so what I recommend is watering 2 times a week for this specific customer. Just 2 times a week, early morning. The reason I say early morning is if you water in the afternoon, 12 to 3, 12 to 4, that sprinkler is going to evaporate that water quicker than it can soak it in. And if you water in the evening time, the water that's sitting on the grass may not actually evaporate in time, so you'll get standing water in the lawn, and that can cause disease, almost like a wet towel in the back of the trunk, or clothes that didn't get switched over into the laundry. That moisture doesn't have anywhere for it to go, so it just sits on the lawn, and you can get disease that way. But when you do water heavy but infrequent, and you let that soak into the ground and let that water dive deep into the ground, that root system to drive into the ground with it, okay? And that root system, it helps with disease resistance, it helps with drought resistance, and a long, strong root system is a healthy grass system. So that's what I was basically telling the customer with a note, and she came out and talked to me. But I like meeting the customers. I tell customers all the time that it is so much easier to water to maintain than water to recover the lawn. Because by the time that the lawn is in serious drought and probably going into dormancy, takes so much energy out of the grass. So knowing where your heat stress is early on and addressing that issue, not only did you get that early morning sun, but you're getting that heat wave of that afternoon too, which is a double whammy. So addressing the situation and knowing what you're looking at, next to concrete, next to driveways, you can see right here this triangle in this guy's lawn, and almost a triangle on here, and there's some right here, and there's actually all four of this little corner is heat stress. The concrete retains so much heat and it holds on to it, so it can bake back the lawn a lot quicker. So knowing your areas of stress and addressing them will pay dividends in the health of the lawn going into summer, and then the aid of recovery in the fall. So I hope this helps. I've got about 65, 70 gallons left. I'm gonna go hit this big lawn and something else, and I'll see you on the next one. You guys have a good weekend. Bye-bye.